the organization has. So we're talking about how the board behaves, or in some cases, how they misbehave, because that also happens, rather than the tax they do.
Very rare your names that I know.
I tell you, I've secured the name and hello and welcome to our ICAN-ngr Enlightenment series. Today, we examine the subject Unleashing Innovation and Technology for Growth in the Consulting Business. Unleashing Innovation and Technology for Growth in Consulting Business. Of course, many of us professionals are aware that at an industry level, technology has done a great paradigm shift. Yes, it has introduced a complete new field of work, all bundled under the label digital transformation. Digital transformation. Digital transformation is the fastest growing segment of the consulting sector. And according to estimates from the Source Global Research, it is now worth around 1/5 of the entire industry in mature markets. Clients are embarking on technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, and Internet of Things to gain competitive advantages. And in so doing, are tapping the expertise of consultants who stand at the forefront of such developments. Joining in our question and answer segments for a better understanding to issues surrounding these subjects is Joel Omeke, Esquire, MBA, SHRM, HRCI, PMI, NIM, ISM, IDNI. Joel Omeke Esquire is lead consultant and founder of P4P Limited, and has outstandingly built competence in helping individuals and companies achieve their best potentials. Joel Omeke will be unveiled fully to us very shortly in this program, and also a few adverts, few ICAN events. You want to hang on, you want to stay connected, we shall be back with you shortly.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Please join me to welcome Joel Omeke onto ICAN-ngr. Joel, you're welcome.
Pleasant evening. How are you doing today?
I'm doing real fine. And
Fantastic.
we must do real fine. We have a couple of students who had mentioned to me they wanted to be a part of this when they saw this on the ICAN portal. And initially, I engaged one or two on Twitter. I said, yes, I know a bit about innovation, but come to think of it, is there a difference between innovation and technology? And so while trying to look at this from the framework of the subject, which is unleashing innovation and technology for growth in consulting business generally, I'd like you to help me frame so that we can all be on one page this discussion by giving me your working definition of what innovation is.
Thank you very much for this opportunity and privilege. Yes, indeed, you cannot separate technology from innovation. In today's world, very clearly, innovation is generally seen as an opportunity for organizations to bring out new products or significantly improve existing products. Or it might be processes. There's a process re-engineering. You change your processes so that they are optimized to be more efficient and to effectively deliver the results that you want to achieve. This basically is the definition of innovation.
Innovation. So if we were in the realm of metaphysics, will innovation be creative? And God said, there shall be lights. Would that be innovation? Or God said, yeah, go out there and fill the earth, multiply. Would that be innovation from that strict perspective of it? Or is it the one bang kind of thing that we have? Would that be innovation?
I struggle with the bank part, but on the issue of the creation part, clearly all the initial creations were innovations because they were never seen before. They were uniquely different. But on the side of go and procreate and fill the earth, I mean, after the first set of kids, there's nothing different from the next set of children that we see. We are all humans, so there's no longer innovative having a child.
Now I get that, Joel. Now I get that. So let's now put our feet on the ground. Talking about innovation, what characterizes successful innovating companies?
You know, it's interesting that you ask that because sometimes we're in doubt whether we are being innovative or not. There are a lot of characteristics an organization would use in order to judge whether they're being innovative. One major one that organizations should look out for is the extent to which the organization is able to take risk. Most organizations are risk averse, so they don't take risk. And in the absence of risk, it is difficult for you to innovate, change, and bring new things. The second possibility, while you check whether an organization is being successful in innovating, is that they are always into projects. There's always something new. They're always trying something. They are managing the things they do as if they are projects. So they're always starting something and closing another thing at that point in time. And they are always full of ideas. They have an engine internally in the organization where they are evaluating new ideas, the possibilities of bringing it to the market at that point. They have employees who are very creative. They give those employees the opportunity to try things, to use their initiative and do things. And then as they discover new things from there, they turn them into product improvements or new products entirely at that point. They also tend to work as a team. No silos, no individual areas at that point in time. They work together. Their employees are motivated and excited. And they invest in their staff to continually develop them, to grow them. So as development comes, those staff gather new information and understand new ways of doing things at that point in time. At an organizational level, one sign to show that an organization is an innovating organization is that they are always collaborating. They are cooperating with external experts, consultants, universities, research laboratories, agencies, associations, in order to research and find what is not there, in order to improve what is going on. I'm sure organizations that display some of these things that we have just mentioned, we can confidently say that this organization is an innovative organization.
Absolutely amazing. So we see them at that organizational level. And as consultants, for a lot of us who are in the consultancy business, I know of a term, and a lot of our listeners might be familiar with this term when you say consulting innovations. Consulting innovations. Please, can you give us its various types and dimensions?
Okay. Sometimes when we look at consulting innovations, it may not be innovation for the consulting firm creating innovations for their clients, as the case may be. There are actually about 6 different innovations a consulting firm can either make for themselves or get their clients to be able to achieve. One is product innovation. Consultants can help clients or in themselves also come with new products that the client did not have previously. Products that are completely germane to what the company is doing. Or it could be an improvement on the current project that they have, significant improvements on their products. The second consulting innovation can be process innovation, how things are done, the process of creating services and products within the organization. Consulting firms can be innovative in those particular areas. Usually you hear them call it process reengineering or process improvement, as the case may be. So they help the organization to be more efficient. There's also market innovation. In market innovation, they are able to check into the market, help the organization to expand its size of market, or help the organization discover new markets with the current products that they have, or design new products for the same existing market at that point. So you have market innovation at that point. There are other not too forward-looking innovation that you see, like organizational innovation, like the way the organization is structured. So you see consulting firms are invited to come and do strategy retreats, strategic planning, and things like that, or structural adjustment, organizational development and design. Those are some innovation they can do within the organization. There's also technological innovation where they develop apps, they develop softwares, they develop unique technology that the organization can use to improve what it is doing. These are some areas that consultants have innovations that they can bring to the market.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joel Omeike. I will still come back to the engine room and ask us, if you will, to direct us appropriately. There certainly must be process to innovation, and how, from your very practical experience, will you direct us accountants, those of us in business, and those of us who have clients, how will you direct us to this innovation process?
Okay, so it's interesting that that question came up. I didn't expect that to come like that. You see, innovation always starts with research. It always starts with an idea. So an organization, a consulting firm, or an accounting agency might be engaged by a company or an organization to carry out a research to develop something. Or the organization on its own, with the way it has seen the way the industry is going, can research and develop something new. That's the first step in innovative process, research and development. In the absence of research and development, it is difficult to create anything new or to improve what is existing already. The second part of innovation process is production. And in production, what you're trying to do is you're trying to put in place, implement that thing you have researched and developed at that point. So you're implementing it at that point in time. Be it coming up with a new product or improving an existing system at that point in time. So production is where the rubber meets the road at that point in time. The third part of innovative process is marketing. Even if you're very innovative and you have the best product you've made, but it is in your warehouse or is in your office, and your target market are not aware of the existence of a new process or a new product, then it will make a waste of all your research and development at that point. So marketing, either by means of promotion or engaging your clients in various models of marketing, you reach out to the market and create awareness, create an affinity and a desire for that new process or new product you have put in place, so our customers will gravitate towards it. So these are the foundational, the three steps when it comes to innovative process. Note that innovation always results in something changing. So wherever you see change, most probably you see innovation in that particular area. And innovators do not treat change as a disruption, or are they afraid as change. They usually see change as an opportunity for something better than what was there at that point in time. Generally speaking, yes, generally speaking, those who are always pursuing innovation follow those three steps. They're always researching, they're always reading, they're always engaging, questioning people, asking questions, trying to understand current trends, forecasting what will be the next, and then thinking which products will this affect, which industries will this affect, and then they begin into another production and bringing up something new in this particular area. Most of the startups you see in our environment are examples of organizations that have gone through the process of innovation, creating something new that didn't exist at that point in time, or researching where there are pain points, where there are issues, and they created a solution out of that particular case. Take a look at example, the transport system, the taxi cab system. A long time ago, we've been used to the yellow cabs. But at this point in time, you have options. Digitally speaking, at the comfort of your home, you hail a taxi, and you're taken to wherever you want. You make payment. You even rate the taxi and the driver as the case may be. This is an example of an innovative product and process that has been brought to the market at that point in time.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Could I have two for the price of one? By pulling you back a little bit, there is a term that you use now that I think should be of interest. You say, yes, innovation is not inured to change. And so, in the process of change management, people are very susceptible to want to change innovatively, either to technology and what have you. And I wanted to just find out from your personal experience while consulting, where you now meet this gray-headed male or female who has all the knowledge all put in there, and who tells you that he would rather want to walk towards the left when you are asking that the right should be. Uh, how has been your experience on going around this to convince, to ask, to learn, unlearn, and relearn for such type of situations?
Very deep. Thank you very much for that particular question. The interesting thing is that most executives you meet who have established businesses already are afraid of the future. Their fear of the future is rooted in the fact that one day things may be different from the way it is. However, they are still holding on to that formula they have that is currently working, whether it is working perfectly or is not working perfectly. So they hold on to it. So usually from our experience, when we engage executives, right, we first help them to understand that things can never remain the same the way they've always been. And we give instances, depending on the industry we meet, depending on the kind of organization we meet. There are case studies locally, nationally, and internationally that shows you that what you enjoy today will be gone tomorrow. We've seen it in the transport, in the manufacturing industry, in the telecoms industry, even in the banking system. We've seen significant changes that a lot of the big organizations initially are now struggling with adapting. So change is inevitable. It will show up. So when we engage those executives, then we help them to see the various case studies of what has happened in the past, and then we show them the future, what it could look like for them. And then we help them to appreciate that. Imagine if you're the first to implement this new change, you will lead your market. And the attraction of leadership always drives executives to want to do something new.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so naturally, Joel, there should be some do's and things to avoid while innovating from some of what you have just said. Can you be more specific as consultants? Are there certain things we should do, and are there certain things we should avoid doing while going for innovation?
This is revealing a lot of secrets.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So let's look at 5 possible things you should do in order to help your innovation journey. 1, you must be dedicated to study. You must be dedicated to research, analyze, look for opportunities. Always check for what is emerging, what people are complaining about in your environment. Look at things that used to work but are not working the way they used to be. So look for opportunities. 2, visit your customers. Go to the individuals that are using your services and products. Ask questions and listen to them. You cannot create something new inside your own office, inside your own production plant. If you remain in your production plant, you will always make the same old product. But once you engage your clients, engage your customers, engage your consumers, you know when their taste is beginning to change. You know when their lifestyle is beginning to change. You then go back inwards to begin to design something differently. 3, make sure that whatever you're bringing to the market is simple. We don't like complicated things. Keep it as simple as possible. Focus on specific needs of individuals. All right? Do not try to solve all the problems you see at the same time. Just solve 1, 2, or 3 problems at a time. The customer will enjoy it. This is why if you see the app companies, you always see them having version 1.0, version 2.0, version 3.0. They are carefully releasing improvements, because when you send in too much innovative improvement at the same time, people will get confused and may run away from you at that point in time. 4, start small. Start on a small scale. Don't from day one do something very large. Do something very small and then improve gradually. As you learn from the reaction of the market, you continue to improve in that particular area. And then number 5, make sure you take a winning position. What's the idea of innovating if you're not a winner in the market? If you don't take a winning position, immediately you finish innovating, other people will copy what you have done. And once they've copied what you have done, you lost all your research money and all the analysis you put into it at that point in time. While it is okay to do these 5 things, there are a few other things you should avoid. Let me give you 3 things to avoid. Don't be too clever. Don't behave as if you know it more than the customer. You know it more than the client at that point in time. Don't be too sophisticated. Things can go wrong, right? So learn to be humble and listen to the voice of your customer. 2, avoid doing too many things at once. Remember what he said, that too much hand can spoil the broth. Just do a few things at the same time. Focus on the problem. Leave other things around at that point in time. Then number 3, When you're doing innovation, do innovation for the future. Do not innovate today. Today is late already. It's daybreak already. There's nothing else you can do about today. Innovate for tomorrow. So when tomorrow arrives, your organization is ready with a new process, a new product that the market is hungry for at that point in time. These are a few things you can do to ensure you get it right.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And to our online participants, if you are just coming, this is ICAN-ngr, the iconic one in town, one in the professions program that seeks to educate, to enlighten, to in-depth and broaden knowledge at all levels on the go. And I have to thank everybody for coming on and staying on. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we continue with Joel Omeike, the founder and CEO of P4PE Institute, looking at the subject of unleashing innovation and technology for growth in the consulting business. Stay on, stay put. We will be back with you very shortly.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study Exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
You're welcome. Just before we went on break, I was asking Joel Omeike some of the things we shouldn't do. I liked the aspect of what we shouldn't do, that we shouldn't be too smart and believe we know it all. Yeah, and not take a listen to the customer. And sometimes it might just be the guy on the shop floor, the security guard. It could be the customer service personnel who have just gone on IT. We need to, if they be put in position of responsibility, we need to listen to them. And that we should not take things all together at one go. So many cooks spoils a broth that sometimes is not there in these days of scarcity. And then, of course, he equally said that we must continue to study and study and study, get knowledge, be simplistic, ask questions. If there are a few of our online listeners who have questions on this subject of unleashing innovation and technology for growth in the consulting business, for us to be competitive, please put them on the screen, and Mr. Joel Omeike will be happy to answer them. While that is coming, Joel, this question: should organizations avoid making mistakes when innovating?
So this is a very sensitive question. Nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to make mistakes. When you make mistakes, sometimes you're scorned at or you look stupid. Sometimes it shows people feel that your mistakes are an indication that you don't know what you're doing. But I'd like to share with the audience a particular quote from the founder of IBM. His name is Thomas Watson. Thomas Watson said that the fastest way to succeed is to double your failure rates. The fastest way for you to achieve success is to increase the mistakes you make. Because in making those mistakes, you learn faster, as the case may be. So, there are several works in the market. You will find some books that insist that you must understand how to fail well. Learn how your failures can actually help you to get ahead. The person that does not make mistake has not tried enough. Unpack your fear of failure and embrace your mistakes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. It's from most of the inventions we have in life today came from series of mistakes that those inventors made. Imagine the invention of the light bulb. The man who invented the light bulb says that it took him more than 1001 mistakes or failures before he discovered one working light bulb. Imagine if he had given up. Imagine how long the world will have been in darkness before the next person is ever discovered, will be able to discover the light bulb. So I would recommend, instead of being afraid of failing, I would recommend that you should fail fast, fail often, fail well, and learn quickly from your failures. Once you do that, you will notice that you can learn more from losing than you can learn from winning, as the case may be. People who are determined and fail tend to make more progress than those who are not determined and win, as the case may be.
In depth, interesting. Thomas Watts. Generation, what is that? Generation A, B, B, C?
I think it's a baby boomer generation. Long even before the baby boomers.
I say, geez, can I wear the cap of a Generation Y, Generation Z, and do a bit of a challenge to what? Fail often? Will it be something that those in the aviation industry will want to imbibe, especially where a mistake is made in the air and there is no remediation? Will that still be the kind of mistake we can agree that lives are lost and you will not have a chance again to repeat?
That's a very deadly mistake to make. Usually, when we are airborne, the flight is not a crucible for experiments. At that point in time, when they go airborne, they follow the checklist. However, they have pseudo flights, they have simulations where they freely fail and learn from those particular mistakes. You need to see the thousands of experiments that are made before they discover or adjust one particular thing in that area. The fear of failure paralyzes some people. However, even though there is failure, there is also light at the end of the tunnel.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And that is it. In fact, in the O&G, oil and gas industry, the operations integrity management is an everyday thing, and that just make sure you fail before you get to the gate so that you can be lifted, because you cannot even get to the gate because you can have spillages that will kill many. So thanks for that perspective. Now, I know we have dreams, we have visions, we have ideas that sometimes people just sleep and dream, thinking that they are on their way to innovation. What will be the challenges to turning innovative ideas into reality?
Okay, let me not scare our audience by saying there's plenty challenges. Innovation should be simple, but just like life, everywhere where there is results and there is success, there are challenges, there are hurdles to pass through to achieve some of those. I'd like to mention a few of them, maybe three. One, is cost. Research and development is very expensive. Going out to talk to the customers, experimenting. Imagine those who are in the airline industry. Do you know the number of planes they crash in an attempt to find the best routine, to find the best product, as the case may be? So it's really expensive. So your cost of capital in carrying out your research is one challenge in converting your idea into reality. What do you do about that? Make sure that you are you're checking the magnitude of investment that is required before you go into those particular research in that particular area. There's something we say in project management. Do not start a project if you do not have access to the resources to finish it. That's why a lot of organizations have a lot of abandoned projects. 2, customer demand. There is no need pursuing innovation in an area that there is no market. So one of the challenges of innovation is that people create something new and nobody is willing to buy because we do not identify whether the market exists for that particular product or solution at that point in time. 3, where innovation involves technology. Sometimes the technology can be too advanced for the generation that exists today. And so when you bring that particular product or new innovation to the market, people will reject it because they cannot understand or use that technology. I'll give you an example. In 2000, 2001, 2002, when GSM vested in Nigeria, there was a particular company that came up with a mobile payment system. And they visited some of the telecoms organizations, they visited some of the banks, and they all rejected it and told them that no, this is too advanced, that this will not work. How can people be paying through their mobile phone? Do you want money to be missing? But in today's world, e-payments, online payment, digital payment, mobile payment is the pain of the day. So sometimes your innovation may be too early for the generation that requires it. That's a barrier you have to be careful about. There are other barriers, but I think I'll stick with these 3 at this point in time.
Wow. An interesting barrier, very similar to the salesman that went to the desert and came back to the Coca-Cola company and said, these people don't have shoes, I can't sell in there. And then some other person now went there, that same place, said, look, with this coaching song, this is where the market should be. And you were talking earlier on R&D. Dr. Abel Igbodion is saying is backing it up. And I think that is it, that research and development is very expensive, of course, with very long gestation period.
Sure.
Yet business environment is extremely dynamic, like we have put. So how can innovative entities manage this challenge of balance, considering the fact that at the end of the day, success may not be guaranteed?
That is why we recommended that they should start small, invest gradually, and then grow it. That's 1. 2, we also spoke about their risk appetite. Are they risk takers? An organization that is averse to risk, it will be sad and not good for them to dive into a large research and development project. They will give up in the middle of it when they see certain challenges down the line. Unlike an organization that is risk-driven, and they will be able to achieve much as well. So long as you take calculated risk and you measure your investment and your research, you will get there. If you look into the future and do your strategic plan for 5 years, you can research gradually building up to that particular 5 years, and you have something new to share in the market.
Excellent. And then Olusoju Shosanolu is taking us to the strategic corporate governance policy. And he says, failing forward, what is your take on innovation policy? Oh, there's an innovation policy being embedded in the modern strategic corporate governance.
Now, there is need for regulation. There is need for control, so that those people who are doing innovation do not go run out on their own and wreak havoc or bring an end and make your company to die very early. Corporate governance must be put in place around innovation to ensure that certain excesses are put in checks. That those who are innovating are not too wasteful, as the case may be. But again, sometimes when you're innovating, there's a thin line between where you're innovative and then where you're wasteful. However, the controls you put in place will help you to some extent. But let me just put a caveat and need for us to be careful. Too much control on R&D may slow growth and development at that point in time. And that will affect, just ensure that your R&D desk is ethical and they are doing the right thing along those lines. And then there are periodic reports and checkpoints to see the progress in those areas so I can have control over it.
Awesome. Thank you very much for those insights to those questions. And if there are more questions to come, Mr. Omeke will be able to give practical insights. So let's now go to consulting business itself. Can you help us with insights into growth strategies for these segments of businesses? I'm talking of the consulting businesses. Just insight into growth strategies for consulting businesses.
Okay. When it comes to growth strategies, sometimes it depends on your industry, it depends on the market you're facing, it depends on the space you're consulting, as the case may be. I'm going to share experiences from a broad perspective. When it comes to what growth strategies that you may pursue, there are several, but I'll share 5 at this point in time. One growth strategy you should pursue is either organic or non-organic growth. An organic growth is where you grow from within. You grow based on the revenue you have received, the profit you've made, you reinvest it in yourself. So you go to the market this year, and at the end of the year, you made 10 million naira. You invest the 10 million in the organization. Next year, you make 50 million. You invest it in the organization. It is called organic growth because you're growing as gradual as the business is going. But if you want phenomenal growth, what we refer to as non-organic growth at those points in time, then you must consider modern day growth strategies like mergers and acquisition, strategic alliances, as the case may be. When you merge with another existing company, overnight, 20 branches can become 100 branches. It does not need the gestation period of opening a branch every time in order to grow it. Or you have 1,000 customers, and then you merge with another organization that has 5,000 customers. It took you 5 years to have 1,000 customers. But by merging, in 1 year, you have acquired extra 5,000. That's why it's called an inorganic growth. It's a phenomenal kind of growth at that point. Another way to grow is to look at your market. You can look at your market from 2 perspectives. Market penetration or market development. In market penetration, the existing target market you're selling to, why don't you dip into that particular market? Find new segments of the market that are not currently buying from you at that point in time. If you used to sell in Lagos, as the case may be, are there parts of Lagos that you are not selling to at that point? So you will try to move your products more in those particular areas. If you're selling to the aviation industry, can you also sell to the transport industry also? And that's an example of how you can penetrate more into that market. Market development. You can use your existing products and go to new markets entirely. Leave Lagos, leave East, leave West, go to the entire Nigeria. In today's digital world, what prevents you from going online? So you can develop new markets in various areas. Instantly, you will grow. Compare the reports and the results a brick and mortar organization, an example, SPAR, is having compared to the e-commerce giants that we see today. They are selling the same thing, but their promise to the customer is different, and they have developed different markets. So growth becomes inevitable at that point in time. The third one or the fourth one at that point in time is product improvement, where you can do innovation. Innovate your products, improve your existing products, improve your services, come up with new products and new services at that point in time, and plug it into the market as much as possible. So if you improve products or you develop new products, and developing, you may be diversifying, you will acquire new markets, and then most probably you begin to grow in those particular areas. Again, these things I've said does not just work by you declaring that you are going to new market. You must strategize, plan, and then effectively or flawlessly implement along those particular lines.
Yeah, and that goes without saying. Strategy, implementation, being the graveyard of whatever it is innovations that we have, and people making sure that they follow to the letter
Mm,
the
mm.
procedures and processes. Thank you for that delineation. I'm going to ask you a rather interesting question here. The bricks and mortars, organic, inorganic, market penetration, branch, stem, roots into innovation, we know. And that is exactly what consultants are supposed to be doing. So let me ask you, what exactly do consultants do for organizations?
I had to laugh at that. Sometimes they say consultants don't do anything. Okay, thank you very much. Interestingly, consultants are like advisors. They are there to advise companies, to advise executives, certain direction they should take. If you break it and tear it apart, I think there are four things that consulting firms do. One, they share information. Because consulting firms are not in the practice of day-to-day production, they have enough time to research and gather information. So they share data that they have analyzed with the client on their industry, on the market, and they help the client make sense of their industry and their market. So clients sometimes are buying information from consultants. Two, because consultants have done a lot of implementations in different organizations, firms engage consultants for their expertise because they are experts in solving certain problems that over time they have been addressing at those points in time. So organizations engage them for their expertise. Three, because they analyze, they develop some analytics, so to speak, based on their expertise and the information they have. They are able to come up with insights, and organizations are willing to pay for those particular insights. Sometimes it comes in form of reports or things that are sent to those organizations periodically, and organizations subscribe to it, and those consulting firms continue to research in those particular areas.
Mm.
Then finally, execution. Some organizations do not have the internal capacity to execute some of the recommendations of the consulting firms. And so the consulting firm help with creating a roadmap and help them with implementing the changes that they need to make in place, to put in place for them to succeed in the market. Any consulting firm you see, I can reduce the things they do to those four things. They sell information, they sell expertise, they bring insight to the firms, and then they help them to execute.
Hmm. Joel, I hope Professor Wole Soyinka will have a feel of some of the things we are saying here. And why I say
Prof is on
this,
another level himself.
why I am saying that is that, and I think one of his books talking about madmen and specialists, we now see that
Mm,
consultants are some kind of specialists that can go into a sanitarium, do to undo to do, and therefore maybe unfallible except force majeure. And
mm,
if that is the case, running me towards the end of this session, I am enthused to find out because a study said when it comes to disruption, everybody is affected. The angels, the archangels too are also affected, and so will consultants. So why will consultants with all the knowledge that they know tomorrow from yesterday, not even today, why should they be prone to disruption?
Okay, so So I'm going to answer your question not from a consultant perspective, but from a CEO's perspective, from the perspective of a business owner. The things that consultants do are very manual. It is based on human labor. Most times when you give consultants project, they deploy analysts and staff to your organization. Most of those things that are manual in recent times are being automated. And since it can be automated, why can't the company take ownership of the automation? So that disruption is beginning to disrupt and reduce the activities that consulting firms can do. Two, consultants are expensive. Margins are usually very high for consultants. And sometimes when you receive a bill from a consultant, you begin to struggle with some of those particular bills. So a lot of organizations are now challenging the status quo and say there must be better ways to get the same services consultants are rendering without paying too much. So that industry is being disrupted at this point in time because of the high cost of rendering those particular services. Three, the recommendations and the value that consultants bring to you has a shelf life. Remember, they give you information based on analysis of the industry and the market. If you don't use that particular information at that point in time, or you don't use it well, it becomes stale and outdated. So organizations are now looking for sources of information that will remain current always without calling the consultant every time. That is another reason why the consultants are being disrupted. Then finally, the information that consultants bring, it is hard for them to maintain in this age of the internet. You can Google a lot of things and find almost everything. If you are driven for research and development and you sit down and research, by the time you spend a couple of days, you will discover certain information that your consultant will bring to you at this point in time. So organizations are beginning to recruit specialists as staffs in their organization, reducing the need of some of these consultants. This is some serious disruption within our space that we are beginning to see. All right.
Awesome. Brilliant. Even a Professor Wole Soyinka will say, yes, you've done justice to their specialists amongst mad men. I will therefore like your final word on this subject. Final word
Thank you
to us
very
on this
much.
subject.
Thank you very much. Innovation is a must, both for consulting firms and other institutions. But since we're speaking to consultants, our industry is being disrupted. We are now an endangered species. For us to remain relevant in our space, we must be one step ahead of the industries and the organizations that we serve. We must continue to be their go-to person of source of information and insight to whatever they are doing. If you cannot develop information, build systems that give them access to those particular information, maintain those particular systems, we will continue to be relevant at that point in time. And if possible, build subscription-based systems so that regularly you will always be getting them subscribing to the system that you build at that point. If you build a subscription system, just sit at home and focus on maintaining the system. The revenues will flow in regularly at that point in time.
Super. Fantastic. Excellent. And we are going to be asking you to come back to give us more of some of these insights that you have just doled out to us as parts of the special gifts of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria to gather people, eggheads, to share knowledge far and wide in our environment. I'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Joel Omaike, for being our special guest today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Interestingly, it's an honor to be with us. It's a privilege to hear that this particular program is happening at this point in time. There's depth of knowledge and information. People are looking for insight, especially SME consulting firms and accountants that we have out there. We are all searching for how to continue to develop us and improve ourselves. And platforms like this, no matter how little, the small bits of information, they say a drop of water makes a mighty ocean. I am willing, I am happy, and I'm sure my colleagues who are also listening in, and those who are not aware that this platform exists, can draw from the waters that other experts that will come after me will share on this particular platform. It is really an honor to have been with us.
Awesome. I thank you. I also thank our online participants for being so active on your line of questions on ICAN on Air. We go practical. Yes, where we say sometimes the town meets the gown, or the theory and practice are intermingled with persons proving competence comes to share their insights with us. And hopefully we will continue on this trajectory that we have started with ICAN on Air. We have slated next on ICAN on Air, all things being equal and by the special grace of God, will be on Tuesday, June 14, year 2022. Time will still remain 6 p.m. West African time, and the venue will still be the online ICAN social media platforms. All you need to do, go to your Facebook, ICAN, like ICAN, YouTube, like ICAN, and a lot of past editions of ICAN on Air, and the other one that will come at the dock of 6 p.m. West African time will be notified to you. And please don't stop at that. You need to tell somebody, to also tell somebody else, to bring yet another person who will bring along yet a couple of people to come along with you, to come and share this depth of knowledge. And the topic we are going to be looking at will be, is blockchain the end of auditing? Is blockchain the end of auditing? I'll be having guesting with us Tolani Jemialade, MBA, ACCA. She is the managing partner of Tripartite Consulting Limited and a fellow of Digital Euro Association. She's an IT professional with many years of experience, skilled also in IT administration and operations. You don't want to miss this. And though I drop my nuggets for you today, and I quote, at least 40% of all businesses will die in the next 10 years if they don't figure out how to change their entire company to accommodate new technologies. End of quotes, attributable to John Chambers of Cisco. And so the sun sets here on our ICAN on Air offering for today. Special grace of God, all things being equal, to rise again on June 14, 2022, as announced. So you want to be the change you like to see. And until then, I remain Akin Fatunke, your uncle. ICAN on Air. Bye for now.